evening, David. Good evening, good evening, good evening. David,
Hello, good night.
right. So, all systems go, you are hearing loud and clear, and let's shoot in. So, David, how will, I know we have some things of what transpired down in Frederick to highlight. I'm going to take a little quick highlighting of it to show it, and then after, we will be interviewing our guest, Mr. Frederick, who has just joined us. So let's take a quick look at what happened at Bethany and with Mr. David Tate down there as our correspondent on the ground and what's transpiring. So, Director, could you play that video for me, please? Let's start.
I going to look for the main driver behind this to see if I could interview him. I see a important. So this is Bounce Up Central Media coming to you from Vesani Secondary School Library. What a beautiful day. It is so wonderful. I going to look for the main driver behind this to see if I could interview him. I see an important gentleman here. Let me go and have 2 words with him, please.
No, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Community Development, Sport and Community Development.
We have here Mr. Obi. He is one of the driving forces behind this economic development of our area. I would like to ask him a few words, please. So what do you have to say about today's event?
Today's event was a good showing for Library, and it's not the beginning because many persons would have done before. It is just one more step along that journey towards revitalizing Library. Library must become an economic destination. When people bounce their starter and they leave the house, they must know that they come into Library to buy something. And for them to come to Library to buy something, people in Library are now answering the call to produce the things that people will need to purchase, including those who live in the community, but also for those who will come from outside and spend their $100 here. There's much to do, but today is one step in that direction. And we at NETCO are partnering with the Ministry of Sport and Community Development and the community to ensure that we do our part in making the Library the place that we all know and love.
I heard you all having a Crown Food Festival. Is that true?
Yes, of course. So NETCO is partnering with another group in the community. Know that behind they won the Champion Youth Award for 2022, and they're broadening it to include other stakeholders in the community, man side, other youth groups, and we at NETCO are working to ensure that we have the entrepreneurs that are in one of our main projects, the Business Accelerator Program, come and commune with other like-minded entrepreneurs from Library so that we can have an event that focuses on entrepreneurship in the #1 tourist attraction in Library. And it's not the beach. It's not any of the beaches. It's actually Pitch Lake. Because there are many beaches in the world and in Trinidad and Tobago. But there's only one Pitch Lake you can go and bathe and enjoy it as a member of the public. And that's right here in Library. And we'll be working with them because they want to have a backyard market. So we're kicking it off with this Ground Food Festival, with NETCO working with the entrepreneurs in the community.
So is each one help one?
Definitely.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
brother.
We have Miss Bigford here. Miss Bigford, let us know how you're enjoying yourself
I'm tired, but I'm happy that this event is coming off and happy for the sponsors.
And you are a true product of Labre.
I am born and bred and still live.
Beautiful, beautiful. And when you come Labre, you cannot leave out Antilles Credit Union. Labre, Antilles Credit Union, the Bank of Labre. You understand? The biggest credit union in Labre is Antilles Credit Union. Yes, you remember the credit union, remember Guadalupe? Yes, William Guadalupe. That is the credit union, right? So don't forget, when you come down Labre, tell your nene and everybody who living down here, join Antilles Credit Union, right? And we have a stalwart in the credit union, Miss Tittle. Good day, Miss Tittle.
Good day, Mr. Dave.
Right. That is people. All of them is from Labre, no? Ay, ay, ay. Antilles Credit Union. So how you going? So what is your stall?
Well, this is not Sabel's product. We specialize in natural skincare and herbal remedies.
Yes.
So you can get from your ear oil, your castor oil, soaps, body scrubs, scented body oils. We have our plant extracts for men, women, and children. Basically all natural and herbal stuff.
So where you located?
Well, I am from Sobo Village, but my store is in Point Fortin.
But you from Sobo?
Yes.
Labre again? I tell you, people feel Labre dead. Labre ain't dead, you know. Labre's boss. Labre. And you're right next to the credit union. So when you make your money, you deposit it in the credit union. Yes. Antilles, Antilles. Good day, ma'am. Good day. I see you have a lovely store here. Tell me something now. Tell Bunks Up Media. Bunks Up Media.
We have more organic products for your body that's helping your body stay supple and energized and make sure your body working proper every day. You need proper products to put your body, have your body working good 100% every day. So we have a wide variety of stuff here. Amla powder, Moon, spirulina.
So where you located?
In Point Fortin.
Right. Nice. Nice. And this is Ministry of Public Utilities. They're down here. They're giving you all the information about solar panel and all kind of things. How you like it in Labre?
Oh, we love Labre, man.
Nice.
Every year we're going to come back here.
Nice. You say you're going to come back?
Yeah.
Nice. You have to take a bath in the pitch lake.
Yeah.
You just keep you young, you know. Yes. Michael Lab. Yes. I'm glad to see all you down here. This is Bunks Up Central Media Limited. And I'm glad to see all you down here.
We are glad, we are happy they are here.
And all you from Separia and everything. Well, that is nice because Labre belongs to the Separia Borough Corporation. All of it one family. Nice, man. Good day. And where you all from?
From Labre, we are from Louisa behind the
Nice.
flowers. Youths.
You're right, they empowering the youths in Labre. Right, that is what they're doing. They in Labre. All you feel Labre are nothing. Labre are plenty, you know. Look, young boy, tell them about Labre now, man.
We have different things to offer, like especially one of the biggest incomes is we have several communities, groups, football teams that could join. It's a wonderful place on our own.
Right. And we have a nice beach called Station Beach.
A nice beach. Current Shed too, Current Shed is a nice one too.
Yeah, Carrot Shed. Beautiful, beautiful. We here in the Vestany Secondary School. Messi enjoying it?
Yeah.
Nice. She enjoying it. She enjoying it. So this is Bounce Up Central Media coming to you from Vestany Secondary School Library.
Good evening, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
All
You
right,
hearing
so,
me?
yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear. And good evening to Jennifer Frederick, who has joined us here on Dauntless Centers of Good Governance. And well, it was supposed to be Wednesday, but it is Tuesday, which is for the point, but joint thing tonight. So, we had a show called the Ascot Swap. Let's do something. Yeah. So, I don't know why it is some problems on it, but yeah. So, Miss Jennifer Frederick, long time no see.
Yeah, Mr. Welch, it's a pleasure as always. And when you ask me to come and give us support to whatever project you're doing, once I'm able to, I'm always here. And once it is in my area of expertise, so to say, it's easier for me to come and give that support.
All right. So it's really not yeah.
You hear me clearly because
Oh, right. So my mic should be good now.
Yeah.
Right. So, Ms. Frederick, tell me something. What is happening right now with as it relates to this $25,000 that the former president of PSA, which was what you now one in the political arena, who get kicked out by your own party, trying to form a new party, but still looking for money from the PSA. What is really happening at this point in time with that?
Well, a couple of things I'm very curious about. The Public Services Association, those who make up the executive, come from the public service, and as such, what rules and regulations there are for officers when it comes in terms of retirement and pension is pegged the same way to the public service as it is with the PSA executive. Meaning, there are certain ages that you can be to retire in the public service. I think it's 50, 55, and compulsory is at 60. Watson Solomon Duke has not reached the age of 60, nor is he 55, nor is he 50. So wanting to get a pension every month from PSA is very curious to me because he has not reached the pensionable age. That is one. Two, in 2021, I think it was, when it was the PSA elections, during nomination day, you would have interviewed his team or him when he came for nomination because you would have gotten information that Watson Solomon Duke would have said he was resigning from the PSA. I think that was about 2019 or anywhere around there. And that he would have gotten over $500,000 in 3 tranches at the time from the PSA because he was the president. And when in 2021 you ask him, did he resign? He says he don't know what you're speaking about. You ask him if he received any money, he say you don't know what you're speaking about. You went on to ask him about this over $500,000. He said he doesn't know what you're speaking about. Subsequently to that, he would have made a lie or something stating a man is not a man if he doesn't change his mind. That he take the $500,000 because he own, and he take it, and he change his mind, and he not apologizing or something to that effect. What we know is that he told us that he took that over $500,000. He would have launched his PDP party, he would have rented Magdalena, he would have brought down containers of juices from China and food and drink. That's what he did with the money. However, he did not resign or retire from PSA. So now to hear that Watson Solomon Duke is taking the Public Services Association or has taken the Public Services Association to court to get his pension, $25,000. It's very curious to me because that was the same Watson Solomon Duke. When Mrs. Jennifer Baptiste Primus would have finished her tenure of 3 consecutive terms in office, making it 12 years, she had to take him to court to get her pension because she had reached the age of 60. And there was some conversation based on our constitution in the terms and conditions in how you get your pension. She had to take him to court spending, I think, over $100,000 in order to get her pension. And she had reached the pensionable age as is set out in the Pension Act, compulsory age, and being a part of the PSA executive and being a public officer herself prior to coming into PSA that she was entitled to. So I'm very curious what pension it is Watson Solomon still want to get after he would have gotten over $500,000 already. Saying he retired, he gets the money. So I don't understand what money it is he's speaking about. But all these things happening under the watchful eyes of a general council and a conference of delegates. Because the conference of delegates is the supreme body of the union in our constitution. It states that, and the general council is the second highest body of the union, which is the financial body, and then there's the executive. The general council have not been their job simply for a couple of reasons. During COVID-19, it was understandable, although no decision was taken by the general council, it was understandable that we were having virtual meetings. COVID has passed, the whole world has opened up, Trinidad and Tobago has opened up, and the PSS still holds virtual meetings for general council. And to this day, general council have never said, let us go down to the headquarters of PSA and have our meetings there as we are accustomed having it. Because Liberties was having all type of meetings with all kind of people in the PSA in close proximity to each other. They have never done that. They continue to have general council meetings through via social media. What that has done, you don't know who in these meetings. I myself was a general council member, and there are many times I tried to log on and couldn't get on. I had to call somebody to send me a link, and when you did get on, when you make a contribution, they mute your mic, or they're telling you, oh, Miss Frederick, we can't hear, something is wrong with her phone and all that, when it is they themselves who are doing that. So I'm saying that we don't know who is in the general council when they do have general council meetings, because it's all virtually. People, cameras are not on, you're just hearing voices. You don't know how secure those meetings are, you don't know where they keep any meetings. And again, the general council, whose job it is to question these things, to make decisions, to discipline people, they're not doing their job, and the conference just as bad. So these things are all happening under, again, I said, the watchful eyes of the general council and the conference of delegates, who would have abdicated their duty based on the constitution of the Public Services Association. So I continue to ask questions. And not only that, we have a man who is a retiree sitting as the president of PSA. He would have passed the age of 60. I think he's about 62 now. And he continues, he has no bargaining unit. He works nowhere. He got his money from WASA. We don't have no problem with that. And he sits as the president of PSA getting a salary that it is alleged is $50,000 a month. If it is true, we don't know who approved that. It is alleged that he eats well. His lunch bill is over $500. $500 a day. That is his choice. But all these things are happening while we still stuck on 2013 salaries. And then to have him stand on a Labor Day platform and say that he's no longer negotiating with this government on behalf of public officers with the negotiations. He is waiting for the UNC to come into office to do that. Again, where's the voice of the General Counsel? Because it is not his choice. He did not get a mandate from anybody to go on any platform and pull and drag PSA into politics in saying that he's no longer meeting with the employer, which is the government, via the CPO to treat with negotiations. He's waiting on the opposition. And he went a step further. He took a delegation of persons who nobody voted for. Only one person there, Avinash Maharaj, and when he was voted into office, he was not a financial member of PSA. So he took them and he went and he met with the opposition leaders to have a conversation about what we do now. So that's why I tell you I'm curious about what's that happening. And I lay the blame squarely at the feet of the General Counsel and by extension the conference of delegates of the PSA. So I would have said a lot there, but I just was tying in why these things are happening. There's no oversight by anybody at all. It's just a runaway horse in PSA, everybody doing what they want. And in the absence of the legal entities based on our constitution to treat with these matters, Leroy Batiste and Watson Duke, and they're doing just whatever they want. And that's where we are right now.
Good night, Ms. Frederick.
Good night, sir.
You have been a strong advocate against the ills of the PSA. But the majority of people in the General Council do not seem to have the same view as you.
Well, Mr. Tate, again, I would tell you, who are these people in the General Council? Do you know them? Have you seen them? Do you know if Jennifer Frederick turns up to a General Council meeting virtually and just announces with her camera off? Jennifer Frederick representing XYC. If you may know my voice, you might say that is the person. But we don't know who are the persons in General Council. So when you say the General Council don't agree with me, who is the General Council? Who is the General Council? Mr. Tate, we have not had face-to-face meeting in years. We don't know who these persons who are saying they're General Council members.
Now, according to the rules of the PSA, a council supposed to come to the conference of delegates. We're supposed to have a conference of delegates every year. And watching from the studios of Bongsap Central, there seems to be no General Council.
But it's worse than that. Leroy Batiste, who sits as the backdoor president, as I call him, has not attended about 6 or 7 General Council meetings with no excuse.
Now, Ms. Frederick, it is very dangerous for the PSA to say that they are aligning themselves with a political party.
No, let me rephrase that. No, let me rephrase that. Let me stop you there. The PSA has not said they're aligning themselves. Leroy Batiste has said he's aligning himself and dragging the PSA into it. Nobody gives Leroy Batiste the directive to go and say what he said there, so he can't be speaking on behalf of members who paid $100. He's speaking on a personal issue. It's just happened he has on a PSA jersey and people know him as the president of PSA. But he's not speaking on behalf of PSA. He's not PSA.
But Ms. Jenny, hold on but Ms. Jenny, in the Labor Day meeting down in Sabad, you would have heard a number of the people in the crowd chanting, yes, 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 we support the joining of this political party.
Again, I'm saying they could shout what they want. If the president of the PSA, who is a part of the executive, the third highest body of the union, there's the conference of delegates, the supreme, there's the general council, the financial body, and then the executive. The executive takes its directive from the general council. I can assure you no general council was held and no directive was given to Leroy Batiste to stand on a platform to say he's aligning himself with the UNC and he's no longer negotiating with the current government on behalf of public officers. So anybody could stand in front of a crowd in a PSA jersey and shout what they want. Do you know if they are paying members of the union? Do you know if they are PSA members at all?
Good question.
Yeah, that's it.
Question you asked there.
Miss Frederick,
Yes,
I remember when Mr. Duke was seeking election office in Tobago. PSA members, maybe some of the executives, were wearing black jerseys, and some of them even had PDP upon it. And they were coming to work in the PSA office with these jerseys, and one used to ask themselves, is the PSA and the PDP the same thing?
No, let us separate the issues here. That is something separate that we could go to. We are speaking about the fact that Leroy Batiste, who is the president of the Public Services Association, going to a Labor Day function, mounting the stage and saying the Public Services Association is no longer negotiating with the government that is in office, who is the largest employer. Don't matter who government it is, once they're in office, they are the largest employer of public officers. He is saying he is no longer going to go into conversation about negotiations. You're talking about something separate with what's the joke in his party. The PDP was not in office and nobody was negotiating with the PDP on behalf of public officers. That was a decision stated as it is. It was allowed to happen by the, again, go back by the General Council and the conference to have a sitting president who by 2016 would have, I think, would won the minority leader position in the THA under the watchful eyes of the General Council. And by 2017, from his own political party, while still sitting as the president of PSA, Leroy Batiste was a consultant on those times, getting $16,000 a month. They were not concerned about negotiation. It was about politics, but they were allowed to do it by the general. I go right back to the General Council. The General Council allowed Watson Solomon Drew to take part as an independent in the THA election for 2016, it was. He became minority leader. He took the money from PSA, congratulated himself in a full-page ad. He then went on to form his own political party by 2017. And by 2021, he would have won the THA election convincingly with his party under the watchful eye of the PSA. But not only that, in 2016, Watson Solomon Drew was arrested and charged on counts of 1 count of rape, 4 counts of sexual assault. He spent 4 days in Raymond Yard. Not only that, they made a decision outside the steps of the magistrate court to pay some type of money so that he don't have to go up in the prison van to Raymond Yard. He spent the weekend or 4 days in jail, came out on $250,000 bail, and the Constitution states that the General Council has the authority to discipline or suspend or whatever officer who is before the court for any charge, criminal charge, until the matter is heard. He sat down there after 2016 and remained the president of PS, and the General Council said nothing. The conference said nothing. So what ordinary members could do? So this thing has its genesis with the General Council obligating their duties and not doing the work they were devoted in to do based on the Constitution.
But Ms. Frederick, in 2010, the PSA, with no approval of either the General Council or the conference, took a senatorial position under United National Congress and sat in the Senate to debate a bill.
But again, I'm saying, Mr. Tate, you go right back to what I keep saying. If the General Council function is to treat with matters like that and they're not doing it, then any president could do what they want. And that is what Watson Solomon Duke has been doing and now Liberty is doing. So Frederick can't do nothing about that. An ordinary member can't do anything about that when there's a General Council who is obligating the duties. If the General Council is not holding the president to account for what they're doing, look, Watson Solomon Duke is to bring a budget where they don't spend the money and bring it for the General Council to approve it. When I was in General Council, when we used to actually meet in PSA, I would stand up and represent my section and say, how could you bring a budget where you don't spend the money and come in for we to rubber stamp it? It makes no sense. What you're supposed to do, bring a budget for us to go through it. Fine tooth comb, ask a question you, and then when we approve it, it goes to conference to be ratified. That never used to happen since Duke come in. So I'm telling you, from day one, the General Council have not been doing their work.
So what is the way forward? What is the way forward?
The way forward, there's an election to be held this year. There are certain things that the executive needs to do in terms of putting an election committee together and getting the voters list in order. We suspect that the time is going and that Leroy Bettis may not do that. What he may do is looking like, let it go down to November like that and exercise under the Constitution and the election rules, where he has 90 days, I think it is, which he could hold an election and let this go right until probably next year, February.
But let me ask
we have to be ready and waiting that when the election is called, that people go out and vote for one team and one team alone to remove Leroy Bettis and that incompetent executive of 6 people instead of 13. There's only 6 of them there. They would have taken a trustee who is a part-time position. They would have taken him and make him a general secretary full-time. Although there was a deputy general secretary who was voted in as a deputy general secretary, they bypassed her and put a trustee in the position of the general secretary. We don't have 2 trustees no more. There's just the treasurer, a deputy general secretary, a general secretary, second vice president, first vice president, and a president. That is all the PSA has, and they have 1 IRO.
So let me just ask you 2 quick questions. If the General Council only makes, well, the executive of the General Council only makes about 6%, that means they don't have a forum, basically, because...
No, not the General Council, the executive of PSA.
All right. So
who runs PSA only has 6 executive officers instead of 13.
Right. So if you only have 6 and you don't have 13, then 7 people missing, not so?
Yes.
Which will then constitute that you don't have a forum to carry on meetings, not so?
But who holding them accountable?
No. This is what I'm asking. If it is that you have 6 members who functioning right now and it's supposed to be 13, which is 7 missing, then all these proposals are being passed and going forward. Isn't it not illegal to then go forward with those things?
Again, when the executive sits at a general council meeting, a general council needs a quorum of 15. The president sits at the general council meeting, not as the president of PSA, but as the chairman of that meeting with the executive officers.
Right.
Right? Decisions are made there by the general council. But if the general council is not meeting physically, and they're not meeting at all, and you have a president who is doing things contrary to the, who is to hold the executive of PSA and the president accountable? It goes back to the general council. So if a general council knows there's only 6 executive officers of the PSA and it's supposed to be 13, the general council is supposed to be asking, are they going to fill those vacant positions? Is there going to be a by-election for proposition and have those things filled? They're not doing anything.
Right, and that's why it brings me to this question I'm going to ask, in terms of the membership of the PSA, are you then telling me that you cannot get the members, the individual members, because then they have a union? So isn't it that the individual members can write a petition, go before the recognition board, or go before the minister and let the minister know that, look, not an executive body, they're not functioning, and therefore we would like them to be removed from the executive of PSA.
PSA did not get its recognition from the Recognition Board of Trinidad and Tobago. PSA got its recognition based on the Civil Service Act and the Minister of Finance, who would have agreed that the Public Service Association is the recognized majority union to bargain and negotiate on behalf of public officers.
Wait.
Civil Service Act.
Hold up. PSA did not get the recognition from the Recognition Board of Trade Union.
If you go to the Civil Service Act, it tells you who has recognized the Public Services Association, which is the Minister of Finance under the Civil Service Act.
So Ms. Jenny, so how could the PSA have somebody, a member on the Recognition Board that was blocking other unions want to be recognized as trade unions in this country?
Do you want me to get the regulation from you? Say, give me 1 minute to just go get it. You want me to get the Civil Service Act for you?
Yeah, no problem with that.
Okay, just hold a minute.
Yeah. David.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this? As we wait on Ms. Jenny to come back with the civil service regulation.
The public service has recognition due to the Civil Service Act.
But not by trade union.
No. The only organization that represents government workers that has recognition by the Recognition Board is teachers. Right? Teachers has that when they wanted to form tutor. But the public service, such as the Fire Services Association, the Prison Officers Association, they all have their right of representation in the Act.
The Civil Service Act.
The Fire Services Act, the Civil Service Act, they have the right of recognition. You see, the PSA is not really a union per se. It's an association that represents workers, right? It represents workers. But you see, with a trade union, you would have different bargaining units. In the public service, you do not have bargaining units. The PSA represents each one. The Fire Services First Division represents the people First Division, Fire Service Second Division, prison officers and whatever, right? And we negotiate with the Minister of Finance through the Chief Personnel Officer. The Chief Personnel Officer is the representative of the Minister of Finance where the bargaining for salary increases is
Okay.
conducted. Right?
So, Mr. Tate, you want me to just read that area there quickly?
No problem, no problem.
Okay. Section 24(1) of the Civil Service Act. Subject to any other written loan to the contrary, every existing association may continue to represent any class or classes of public officers who are civil servants and, subject to the provision of this act, shall be recognized by the Minister of Finance as the appropriate association for the purpose of consultation and negotiations in respect to any of the matters specified in Section 14 and any other matters concerning civil servants other than civil servants who are holders of offices specified in the second schedule.
So, I don't know, but let me ask you this question. Now that we get some clarity on the civil service part of it, but let me ask you this question, Ms. Jenny. So the $25,000 that Mr. Man asked for, that he carried the union to the final injunction against the union to get, and he already get the money, he didn't reach the pension age, he got $500,000, admit to collecting the money. How is he going to be getting this pension money now, all of a sudden?
And that is, but again, we coming right back to what I'm saying. And I'm saying from a time I start. He will be able to get it because there's nothing to keep them in check. Where's the General Counsel? The General Counsel of the PSA has the authority to sanction, discipline, and all. That is it in the remit. That is a financial body. If they want to spend $1 in the union, they have to come to the to the General Counsel, who will ask questions, think, or whatever, and then they will make a decision either nay or hey. How the PSA is operating, if they want money, they just want to take the money. It's a free for all. There's no General Counsel.
So the supreme body, which is the members,
conference. The supreme body is the conference of delegates that are made up of ordinary members who their sections and staff side would have voted them to go. Because as Mr. Tate said, it's a membership organization. It's ordinary members. However, in the General Council, it's heads of sections and those who the section would have voted them to come to represent the section. So for me, I come from the section cooks, bakers, and food service workers. We have a section that we have a little executive, like when we have the voting, so I'm the chairperson, we have a vice chair, secretary, and all that. We treat the matters within our section. But from that level now, persons from their section is voted now to go to the General Council to represent the section. So you go to the General Council and be a part of the financial body. So everybody have a part in the union because it's our union. All of us own part of it. But there are different sections in the Constitution that gives each body a different duty to do. So ordinary member, I'm an ordinary member, no, I'm not a part of no General Council, nothing. I am not going to put myself through that kind of embarrassment and humiliation to be trying to get into a meeting, and when you're talking, they take off your mic and they're laughing and all kind of foolishness. Not only that, on the agenda, Mr. Tate will know, there's something called other matters. So when you finish the meeting, anybody could raise a matter that is pertaining to this section, whatever. Leroy Batiste take it out. He say he wants all that set of talking. So when he talk and them talk at the end of the meeting and everybody switch off their camera and they're happy with that, they get it. Could I get my slip from a time off? They all studying. So there's no other matters discussing. He talk when he want to talk whenever he come. Felicia talk, she's stupidness. Avinash talk, is stupidness, whatever, and them say what they spend, what they doing, whatever, and at the end of that they vote, and they come and tell me 78% agree with the thing, and you don't know who is these people voting. The whole thing has gone. My concern is this. If Leroy Baptiste is having this adversarial relationship with the employer and telling the employer, I am no longer going to negotiate with you. Although he would have said recently he win the case, and that is the judicial review, where they send Section 22(1) of the Civil Service Act to the High Court for interpretation of that act, whether or not the special tribunal has the authority to make an award for 5 years. Because the special tribunal has said, see, we have two outstanding periods before us, 14 to 16, 17 to 19. As it went to the special tribunal, those 2 periods now became 2 5-year periods. So the special tribunal set 4% for 10 years. It went for judicial review, and it was said that it's only 1 period before the special tribunal. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. You cannot add a period that is not before them and attach it to negotiation. So that is what Leroy Baptiste said they win, that the only thing the special tribunal could adjudicate on is for the period 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. He said they win that. But he never went back in front of the special tribunal, and they waited, and you know what has happened? The CPO now would have appealed the decision. Because the CPO now, I think the court is saying now, which is a dangerous thing, and Mr. Tate could bear me on that. Something to the effect that the special tribunal is not the superior court of records. That is a dangerous, dangerous precedent, because if you're saying now, the special tribunal is not the final or the superior court of records where labor and thing is concerned. Anybody could challenge any decision the special tribunal makes. In the high court, and labor issues is not to be settled in no civil court. That's why we have the industrial court. So now the CPO has appealed that. So what has happened now? We waiting now, because we don't know if the CPO would have put a matter of urgency to be heard. Yeah. We don't know if he filed for that. So if he hasn't filed for that, it means to say public officer will sit down until whenever the appeal court chooses to treat with that matter, and we still on 2013 salaries. And I don't think the CPO had a choice, because if you're saying in the judgment that the special tribunal is not the superior court of records, then anybody could challenge the CPO decision, challenge the special tribunal. So that needs to be clarified. But people only focus on the fact the High Court say the special tribunal can make an award for 10 years because only 1 period in front of them. It have more salient things than that issue.
Now, I would add to that, right, that the CPO, which is the personnel department of the public service, right? The CPO, their function is wide in that they deal with compensation, hours of work, and matters pertaining to these things. And they have different parts of the governmental service that also deal with the public service. You have the Ministry of Finance, right? And the role of the, but the one of the most dangerous things of this thing is that in 1989, the then member of the executive, Mr. Harry Suknanan, he went to court against the Minister of Finance. Is 8CA number 225 of 1989. Justice Warner upheld the submission made by senior counsel Michael de Labastide that public servant salary is not a charge on the consolidated fund, save and except that the legislature include and approve the same in the Appropriation Act. In other words, whatever increases the union, which is PSA or whatever, wins in the collective bargaining process, whether bilaterally or as the result of an award of the final arbitrator, special tribunal of the civil service of the Essential Services Division of the Industrial Court, all the Parliament has to do is not approve the sums under the Appropriation Act, and the government is not legally bound to honor the agreement arrived at with the CPO on award of the special tribunal. So much for the collective bargaining on salaries and other remunerations with the personal department. Again, it is the principle of the sovereign employer built in a system of industrial relations in the public service which is at work. It shall be noted that it is reason for the government did not find it necessary to implement the special tribunal in 1990. In other words, collective bargaining is not the final determination of salaries and wages of public servants, but instead the sovereign employer and the legislature. Now, Harry Suknanan went to court for the cut in salary by the government of that time. And Justice Warner ruled that our salary is based upon the Appropriation Act. And what that really means is that when we come out of the special tribunal, if we get 10%, 15%, all the government has to do in the budget to budget for it. And that is the end of your 15% or your 10%.
And that is why, based on all that you're saying here, and based on the fact where we got our recognition from, because the PSA treats it as sensitive group of workers, that when the union is doing negotiations, this is my opinion with the CPO, that the relationship ought not to be adversarial. You cannot declare the PSA an enemy to the government, who is the largest employer. It will not, and with all the things you would have said, and I was saying, it will not end well for public officers, because we will be at the mercy now of all these things that you just raised up there and all that kind of thing. So, who purpose is liberty serving?
No,
Isn't that the members who pay you $100?
I am not so much annoyed of Mr. Bati's actions, What I am really annoyed about is that later down, maybe 15, 20, 30, 40 years from now, somebody else will come as the president of the PSA, and they may say, well, this was done in 2024, and carry us down a road, a dangerous precipice. A government may come into power and say the PSA is anti my party, and the government will move drastically using the sovereign employer. You see, we're looking for a fight.
Not we.
We cannot win.
No, don't say we. Leroy Baptiste is on a political mission, because when I used to be saying it is alleged he has been offered the Minister of Labour position under the UNC, I was saying it is alleged. When I was saying it is alleged that he has filed nomination papers or something, so for the Arima seat for UNC, I say it's alleged. When I see what he say on the platform, there, I could say to myself, probably it's really true. So he is gonna put, because you know why again? Watson Solomon Drew tested the waters. Leroy Batiste was right there with him every step of the way, and they get through. And he
But
said, "What I've done, certain." Let me listen. Let me be real. James Lambert was a sitting member of the UNC. In fact, he was the president or deputy president of the Senate for UNC. He could act as the president when the president of the country wasn't there. He get through was a sitting politician. And he said also, they feel when you say about Labour Party until it means that Labour leaders be a part of the political scene. They misunderstanding what is a Labour Party. A Labour Party
but
is people who are in Labour, who have the expertise and the professionalism and all that, and they form a Labour Party. It's not sitting presidents of a union getting themselves involved in politics, in
but
national politics.
Miss Frederick, from what I was reading in the newspaper, is that certain people would like to carry the PSA into politics,
But it
right?
will not work. You cannot be
But
employer and employer at the same time. There's a conflict of
no,
interest.
but I would like to ask this question: If if a clerk one who happens to be a PNM or doesn't support the UNC, and there's some reason with her, um, the people that they do at the end of the year appraisal, and she feels that I have gotten a bad grade because it's political biasness. You see, up to now, we do not have people crying political biasness in the public service. And by the PSA or agents of the PSA carrying the PSA into politics, it will bring up that, because people will say, you see, you interfere with me because you feel that I don't belong to your party, right?
Mr. Tate,
I
you want
cannot get a job in the public service because I do not belong to your party. And the whole public service will become politicized. It would not be
But it has
neutral.
already, and I will tell you why it has already become that. Let me give a simple example. I went to the PNM Sports. I'm an ordinary member of the Public Services Association. I hold no position. I went to the PNM Sports and I took pictures of my member of parliament and the Minister of Transport was there. I took a picture with him. And there are people who want to run the PSA now and on some public service chat want to chastise me because I put up a picture of Leroy Batiste, who is the president of PSA, hugging up political persons in the opposition and trying to tell me I must be judged the same way I want to judge Leroy Batiste because I was in a PNM Sports Day. How does that make sense? Because I want to know if in the PNM Sports Day, I was the only public officer there.
But
I was the only person who was a public officer. No, but I'm sure, no, the point I'm making is it already started.
Yes, but when the picture was taken of the PSA individuals, their names were placed and the position that they hold in the PSA. You went to the PSA as a public officer. You can go in any
Sports Day.
PNM Sports. You can go to the PNM Sports. You could go any political sports. Once it's not showing your working hours. You went as Miss Frederick. The picture that was taken, I believe, I have it somewhere there in my library, that the name and post of the people was called.
But the point I'm making, Mr. Tate, is this. You spoke about people in the public service who may support the People's National Movement or may not support the People's National Movement or may support the UNC or may not support the UNC, doesn't vote, does vote or believe in voting, whatever it is, they could feel that they're being ostracized because he linking himself with the UNC. Now remember, the PSA represents members from all different socio-economic background, religious background, sexual orientation, political affiliation from all backgrounds. So you treat everybody equal. But once you have now pulled yourself away and identified that I am PSA is dealing with UNC, those who are in the PSA who are UNC may find that they will be favored because them is UNC. What happens to those who support the People's National Movement, as is their right to do as a citizen of this country? They could feel that you're not making any decision in the interest of us because the government that we support as ordinary members, you are saying you ain't dealing with them, so then who will deal with we? So that's why I bring up the issue about me taking the picture in a PNM jersey, where I am not an executive member of the PSA. I hold no position in the PSA. I have on a PSA jersey as an ordinary member, went to the PNM store, took a picture with my member of parliament, who is a PNM, and they're trying to tell me what I did was wrong. Because
but I would ask a question again. I would ask a question again. Let us say that the UNC comes to power with amalgamation of these other interests. But there's a time for negotiation. Can himself negotiate with himself? Can himself negotiate with himself?
But that is what I now ask you, Mr. Tate, is a conflict of interest for any labor leader to take a union and become into politics. You cannot be employer and employee at the same time. Leroy Baptiste is an employee of the Public Services Association members. We pay him because we pay the executive of PSA because we feel these people were voted in because they have a certain skill to go and negotiate on our behalf. They cannot want to become the employers and still sit down to negotiate for we, because at the end of the day, we will not get it fair because they are now part of the employers, the part of the governance structure. And we saying we want this amount. Them sitting in the government and saying you can't get it, we will never be able to get fair negotiations again. And now, because people are singling out people who they're saying is PNM, that person could feel that, God forbid, the UNC gets into office and Leroy Baptiste really start to negotiate with them. People like me and others will be victimized. So it is a real scenario. So it's not if, it is real.
But
and that is the danger of what Leroy Baptiste would have done.
I would also like to say to you, if in 2035, the PNM or some other parties in power, not the UNC, and the PSA comes with some 25% or 30% or whatever, and they go to the court, and the court say, yes, give it to them. But I know that these people are not politically aligned with me. I could get up in the House of Representatives, in the budget, and cut it. I have that power.
Yes, but what again?
Because you have brought politics now into the negotiation. Because we are not no longer negotiating with the PSA per se. We are now negotiating with the PSA that has political affiliation, even if the affiliation was not approved by the August bodies. But you have political affiliation, so you're against me.
So No, that would be the conflict of interest that
So
they
what I'm saying, and I come into this because we like in this country
And
to take the blame of a certain thing. It comes just as there are people in our communities, in our space committing crimes. But everybody calls on the Minister of Finance, the Minister of National Security, and the police and the Prime Minister to deal with it. Nobody is saying here what they come from parents, they come from a community, they have family. Isn't the first place to treat with those kind of behaviors at the home, and if you're having problems, you go to the next level? It's the same thing with the PSA. All these things you're talking about is being allowed to happen because the General Council. That's what I want to get at. If the General Council doing the work, Leroy Baptiste would have never been there. You could have never
because
form a political party and
you
take
see,
50,000 or how much $1,000. It comes right back to the PSA has a constitution.
because you
And if the
see, ma'am,
constitution is not, no, it have no, well, see nothing. It going right back to the
ma'am,
basic. The
ma'am,
PSA has a constitution
that's not
and
it.
but years ago,
Hold on,
the
David.
PSA, the PSA amended the constitution. The PSA used to have, if you want to draw money from the bank, a signature of one trustee
No, but David,
and
what
the
is
president. Wait, they amended that,
no, but
and now it's the president and anybody else.
I hear that. We're not
And
talking about that.
we paying the
Has
price
the
for that now
has
because
the
it was
the
done in good faith.
constitution. Miss
It was done in good faith,
let me
eh?
not go. You're just carry a thing all over. Here what I'm telling you. Has the constitution been amended that a leader or the president of the PSA could get involved in politics? Has the constitution been amended for that?
No.
And that's the point I'm making. So when you telling me they amended for the money thing, I hear that, but it was amended and was passed. We're not dealing with that. We're
No, but
talking about the fact that
what I'm trying to bring to you, Miss Frederick, is that 10 or 15 years from now, because of the General Council failure to act, the Conference of Delegates failure to act because they were stymied in acting, we may have a ruler who may come and sit in the PSA.
And it's possible you can't do nothing about that. We could talk about flips and things now. You talking about what will happen if this will happen. I hear you.
Because we have to fix it now.
Yeah, but you have to fix it now. If it cannot, the only way it could fix now legally, there's an election for PSA legally due for the constitution this year.
Right.
There are certain things that Leroy Baptiste could do to extend it until about next year, February.
How many teams
He
going
could
up?
use that option if he chooses to. We have to be ready when the election is called to go out and vote and remove Leroy Baptiste from there. In the absence of that, going and take a lawyer, getting $250,000 when he could take money from the coffers of PSA and pay SC and tie up the whole thing in court is not an option. If there was not going to be an election this year, or if 30 days after November, 90 days after November, then you could have talked about that. But there's a legal process to remove and vote into the PSA. My thing is this, I hear all that you say, taking into consideration, I hear that. In the absence of the General Council doing the job, in the absence of the conference doing the job, the only legal reprieve we have now, based on the constitution and the election rule, is an election this year. While we have that, there is hope that this thing could turn around and get a proper executive inside there. If
So
that
how many teams intend to go up?
It have one team and one team alone it has.
What team is
that? That team is PSA United Sentinel. One team it has.
And who is the president?
One team.
For that
the Dwayne Hewitt we want to come with new generation. They're not ready. Because of him, we have Leroy Baptiste sitting down in the PSA today. He was a part of that. So he can't come now to bring no team with nobody, talking about young generation who have no experience, and a man from WhatsApp, a reject from WhatsApp, who nobody trusts in WhatsApp as his mentor, is alleged. Them ain't ready. So they have enough 5 and 6 and 7 team, one-on-one team alone.
Right. So we going into this election with one team and
one team alone.
And not the 15 other teams like we had
last time. They have about 15 teams.
Right. So everybody agree on that in terms of the members who want to go for election going with one team.
Who is it? Everybody.
No, remember it had they had about one. They had David over.
Mr. Nixon.
Over can't take part in this election.
Right.
Maury is not in this country. Maury is a retiree.
Okay.
Coffee has retired from the public service. So like 3 teams going there. What other team?
Mr. Calendar is with you all, right?
All right.
Mr. Calendar is with you all.
Yes, Mr. Calendar is with the team is PSA, Public Service Association United Sentinel team.
Right.
Persons from different teams is on board.
So right. So now that they have formed this coalition now to go forward to deal with this thing, I am really hoping this time that there's no pull and talk within no.
Well, again, I'm telling you, you have to understand something. It's human beings. Them could pull and talk what they want. There's one team and one team alone. I am not a part of any team. I'm retiring next year, God's spare. I am on the sidelines and I'm supporting and giving whatever support I could give. I am not a no team.
Hold up. What do you mean retire next year?
I will be 60 years. I will be 60 years old next year, December.
Well, it's still a time.
No. A term in the executive is 4 years. I ain't going to talk thing with people breaking thing and do it for myself. I am not going on no executive to serve no 2 years and no special thing makes. No. I am not about that. I don't have 4 years in the public service right now. The retirement age compulsory is 60. It hasn't reached to 65.
Oh, okay. So, in terms of Duke wanting the $25,000 that he resigned early in the game, getting $500,000, how will I treat with that? And tell the membership.
Well, it's not, again, the most we could do is talk and alert members. If this has to go to court, you have to get money. People doesn't want to put up the money. Lawyers not cheap. And when you take them to court, them taking PSA members' money, we paying high price lawyer, so them have nothing to lose. So is it wise to take that to court, or is it better to get the general counsel, which apparently they're not interested, but to make sure there's an election this year? That's a bigger picture. That's the only thing, in my opinion, it has. Get an election this year.
Ms. Frederick?
Yes, sir.
Is the clerical section are working, because that's the biggest section in the conference. They have about 31 or 30 members.
Guys, are you talking about a conference where you was a part of it? Don't have them things that why are they not understanding, Mr.
No, I'm just asking. I know the conference don't work, it don't function. I'm just asking you if the clerical section is still functioning.
I wouldn't know that, so I tell you I'm an ordinary member. If you want those information, I can give you Mr. Kalinda's number.
How many members so in the PSA now?
So last October, we were seeing the revenue stated $1.2 million, meaning it's about 12,000 members in the PSA.
12,000 members.
And every month, when that $1.2 million come in, Leroy Batiste is spending $1 million of that dollars every month. Recently, we saw some records that show it's 1.1 million. So apparently 1,000 public officers who are members of the PSA would have dropped out. That is what the data is suggesting. And
So
again,
this
universities continue to spend $1 million every month as personal expenditure from that $1.1 million every month.
so the
So
PSA United, you all have people on the team from WASA?
if people from WASA want to be a part, they are still a bargaining unit of PSA, they're free to reach out. Right now, the team has a full executive in terms of the head of the executive. Industrial relation officers are still to be there. People are free to come and take part or what if they want to take part, whatever. And if WASA workers who are PSA members and still working want to be a part, they're free to reach out to Mr. Nixon Kalinda and be a part. Nobody is being debarred from the group.
And
Once
Mr. Oral in that team, right?
Huh?
Mr. Oral is in that team, right?
Mr. Saunders is not in the team. And I will tell you why. I will talk it here tonight. Because the thing is not a person that talk with water in my mouth. I would have took it upon myself a couple of months ago. I called another comrade Drew Davis, and I said, comrade, our election is coming up this year. Let us try to get Nixon Kalinda and Oral Saunders to the table and have a conversation. The comrade said, okay, but how are we getting that done? I said, don't worry. I personally called Mr. Saunders, had a discussion, and he agreed to have the meeting. I called Mr. Kalinda, he agreed, I had the meeting. The meeting was held, we had other concerned persons, it was a small group. So we were not speaking on behalf of the membership of PSA. I wanted to get that straight.
Right.
We were having meetings, I was chairing the meetings, it was done in above the board, so anything nobody can say, nobody was forced and this way, but it was done properly. In that meeting, we came to where we were saying that what we will do, there are two leaders that we know always, names always calling Oral Saunders, Nixon Kalinda. We amongst ourselves, we would vote on who we think would, when a team is set up, will be the presidential candidate and the first vice president candidate. It was 8 of us, we had our thing, we did it properly, and coming out of that, out of the 6 votes, 4 persons would have voted for Oral Saunders in whatever team is being formed to be the presidential candidate, and Mr. Nixon Kalinda, the first vice president candidate. Mr. Kalinda said he don't have a problem, he's there to serve at whatever capacity.
Right.
Thereafter, certain persons would have gone and do things that we said what we're not going to do. They reach out to this one and that one and something with money and this and that and that. Mr. Kalinda always said when we started meeting, if you're coming to the table, come with clean hands, honest hands, clean hands. And we made a commitment during those meetings to do X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z. And certain persons would have breached that. And because of that, Mr. Kalinda felt he cannot be a part of something when we made a commitment to move forward in a particular way. So based on that, I'm telling you, that is why Oral Saunders is not, again, with Nixon Kalinda. Because soon I'm sure he may jump out with his team and will want to spin a narrative. But I want him, when he's spinning a narrative, that he be truthful in what he's saying, because I was present. And I was a part and instrumental in getting them to the table, and I could recount exactly how things went. It was open and fair, and he chose to do certain things. I didn't get the messages and text messages that show this and that and that, but it happened, and everybody decided no hard feeling to part ways. That is
Mr.
much
Moderator.
I can tell you. And if you call Oral in the morning and you ask him if he say
Mr.
anything
Moderator.
contrary to that,
Mr. Moderator.
So where?
Mr. Moderator.
Yeah.
Do you think that Mongsop Central, we could have a program with Mr. Nixon Kalinda and Mr. Oral Saunders?
I do not think you should have them on at the same time, sir.
Yeah. They wouldn't come.
Talk separately
it is so
and then
bad.
you all could come to something to it, but do not have the first meeting That is not how you do things. You don't ambush people. You're not gonna hear one
Yeah,
side, hear the next side, and only come to something and then whatever after. Because everybody have a side.
yeah. But 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 Miss Jenny, and I'm glad that you brought that to the forefront. So now we will know how to deal with them because I was spoken to Mr. Aura Saunders early on tonight, but I didn't get any indication about if the battle that's going to be taking place. But just a final question in before I know that you might want to depart because I know you might have work in the morning. With the 12,000 people that PSA has,
11,000. And it might be less right now.
right? But if let me say they have 12,000, and
No, they
you
don't
have
have 12,000. So let me be right. They don't have 12,000. We know
they
that
don't
for a
have
fact. No, it
right,
don't, because they're no longer getting $1.2 million a month. They're getting 1.1 million. So that suggests 1,000 people would have. I ain't so good in maths, but common sense.
but so all right, so the PSA at one point in time had nearly was 60,000 members. Not so?
No, actually, the most PSA had, we say that the public service has about 60, 70,000 public officers. PSA had at one time probably about 30,000 public officers because you remember, PSA represented nurses and
Yeah,
all different fractions before, and then they move away from their own thing and whatever. So PSA has say about 30,000. Mr. Tate could be me on that, 30, 35,000, anywhere around there. Never had
right,
60,000.
right. So if you had over let me say 30,000 members, and now you have less than 12,000 members, and the whole TTRA coming into being, and nurses looking to break away from the union, from their own union.
But TTRA don't have much workers, so that is not a good example. Probably the nurses, but PSA represents nurses in theory because remember nurses are under RHAs.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. I know
So much you
understand.
feel out of your total amount of people that in the PSA, what percentage we maybe get in the voting
Well,
population?
that is where any serious team will have to motivate the members to come out. That is what you have to do. You have to go and get them to come out, let them understand where PSAs are, let them understand the serious jeopardy that we in, and whether or not we have a PSA or not. If we don't have a PSA, it will put the public officers right there in the headlights of any politician. Some may have good intentions, some may not. And we could be
But
fired by Will and Lily and just what you would have described. So we have to show them the importance of having a bad limping PSA is better than no PSA. However, we want to take it from this stage it in and build it back
Miss
again.
Frederick,
Yes.
Miss Frederick, there's a group of young public servants.
Who knows nothing
And
but the public service and PSA.
there's a group of young public servants, right? And they, in discussion, they are saying that they want to lobby the government, whoever the government is, to amend the act, just as how the act was amended for teachers, so that teachers could have, their union could have gone through the RRNCB. And they would like PSA to go through the RRNCB so that a new entity could pick up members.
Do you think any government is going to give? Because I said public officers are the ones who are we don't make physical money, but we make the money happen. When this country was in 1818, it's the public service that run this country for 14 days or whatever. There was no government in place because government is the prime minister and attorney general. There's nothing in place. It's the public servants who run this country. You think any government so stupid to have anybody else representing public officers. So the drop of a hat, they could say shut down the whole country and all them kind of. Come now, man. That new group that you're talking, let me be real.
Yeah, but you see, they are these young public officers.
They're young and they do not, I'm telling you again, they're young and they do not understand the civil service
they're young
act.
and they do not understand. But
Nobody's teaching them because Watson Solomon Duke made sure for the 12 years that he was there that public officers remain ignorant of the Industrial Relation Act, ignorant of the Civil Service Act, ignorant of the PSA. He waited us out. I was a younger crew who remained. He waited us out, and a lot of the fighters under Ms. Baptiste Primus, they retired. I was the last crew from under Ms. Baptiste Primus' time. So
but
they have
an idea. If you go through the ministries,
these young, Mr. Tate,
if you go through, but if you go to reality, if you go through the ministries, the young public servants not joining PSA.
They're not joining it because they don't know what is PSA, and they have somebody right now who works in industrial court who feel he knows all the laws and he knows everything, and he does not. He's putting us. I tell you that young, let me tell you how bad it is. That young chap, who this new generation, there was a virtual meeting held before Duke say, when Duke won the THA election, and the Attorney General at the time had to force his hand because he wanted to stay on as the president of PSA and still be in the THA. The Attorney General at the time, Faris Alwari, who is now SC, would have taken the matter for judicial review, didn't he, and forced Duke hand. Duke decided he's going to have a conference, a delegate meeting, and he's going to bring Leroy Baptiste and put him as the president of PSA. Before that meeting, there was a virtual meeting with members of PSA. And the conversation, Oral Sanders was there, Nixon Kalinda was there, all the shutters, all of them was there. And they said here what's going on. Force Watson Solomon Duke to bring that meeting to the General Council, who will make a determination whether or not to appoint a president or to have a by-election for a president. They all agreed with that. That young chap went to the conference of delegates and he put up himself to be voted as the president of PSA.
Yeah.
And Leroy Baptiste and Watson Duke was able to have people vote on him and vote on Leroy Baptiste, and we have Leroy Baptiste today. It's them who want to run PSA. If he had allowed it and not put up himself, and they said this has to go to the General Council, it will have no choice, they will have to go General Council. And all General Council will do, common practice, if there's no president, they'll just move up the first vice president in the president position. Is that not true, Mr. Tate?
Yes.
It's true.
Or they decide they're going to have a by-election to the position, then it's not true?
Yes, but Ms. Frederick, the love that I have for the PSA, the love that you have for the PSA.
It has nothing to do with love. Let's forget this love thing. It has to do with what is in the Constitution. It has to do with
the people who in the public service now, when you speak to them about the PSA, you know what they tell you? That if I have a problem at work, I can be represented by the PSA, I can be represented by a lawyer, and I can be represented by another public officer.
But they don't understand. Any public officer, whether it's a member of PSA or not, any other issue, you can take whatever lawyer you want. PSA has to sign off on that. That's what they don't know.
Yes.
And if PSA don't sign off on that, no lawyer can take no matter for the worker in no industrial court. Come now, man, they don't know that because nobody telling them. They can take whoever the hell they want. But the Public Services Association have to sign off on that.
Well, let's bring it to a close here.
No, I want Mr. Tate to tell me if I lie. Mr. Tate, am I lying?
No, you're not lying, but the fact of the matter is,
the young people,
the young people in the public service do not see PSA 89 Abercrombie Street as any reality for them.
Because
David,
there's the wrong
That
people talking to them, Mr. Tate.
hold on. We are not talking about whether the people want to watch the PSA and love for the PSA. Right now,
Exactly.
love for the PSA out the door a long time. We know that. Right now, you have a constitution, and the constitution has been taken with like a waving flag. Just fly it, left, right, and center. The thing about it is that now that we have some breaking news that there's be um, a joint platform of one presenting to go up against Leroy Batiste and this so-called 6 or 5 others. That is what the concentration should be on now,
And that's what I'm saying.
because November is going to be the election. Well, I hope November should be the election, and that is the mantra to get Leroy Batiste and this whole dynasty that Watson Youth has put into the PSA and bring back some form of resemblance of a PSA back in the notion at this point in time. But it's 9:56. It's 9:56. Miss Jenny, I want to thank you for coming on tonight, and really at short notice, really and truly. And you did break some breaking news also inside of here. So I know a number of people are going to be calling you tomorrow to ask you and find out what went on and all them different things. So
I also I also want to say quickly, Mr. Wells, and thank you as usual. You know, I be passionate about my thing, you know, all my voice thing, me nothing. I calm as a cucumber. My thing is, and you're very correct. I hear what Mr. Tate say, I'm not diminishing what he has said. I will never do that because he has some very legitimate points and credible points. The thing is this, we have an opportunity November this year. If it doesn't happen November this year, the constitution and the election thing give 3 months after. So we're looking at, if not November, December, January, February. We have an opportunity to do something. In the meantime, we have to educate the members who are paid members, not those who are not members because they can't vote.
yes.
Whoever is 11,000, whatever, we have to convince them that, listen, you need to come out and vote to remove because XYZ. You can't convince them who is not members. After we win the election, the team wins the election, we can look to go on a recruiting drive now to bring them into the PSA. But the focus is on paying members, the 11,000 or the 10,000. It can't be on everybody who don't pay. You understand what I'm saying? And that where the focus is. The other things will come into place after. The most important thing is making sure election is held and there's a team to contest the election with credible persons who know what they're about. And that's just my view. So thank you again for inviting me. And another breaking news before I go is alleged. I'm going to say allegations. It is alleged that Leroy Batiste has given some type of confirmation or assurances to the opposition that he will be out of the PSA by December, and he put in Felicia Thomas in the place of the president. Allegations again, I don't know if it is true. So we will keep an eye on that.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that. And I want to thank you again, Miss Jennifer. What is it, Jennifer Batiste? Miss Jennifer Frederick. So,
but I'm honored. I'm honored if you call me back.
All right. So I want to thank you for actually coming on and being a part of Dauntless Defenders of Good Governance. And I know that we will have her back in time to come. And just I don't understand that. Right. I know we will have her back in time to come as the election is coming closer. Director,
so I can leave now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and soak my Julie man, go and drink my water. Well, have a blessed night.
All right, thanks a lot. Yes, so as I was saying, I'm still seeing Miss Jenny still here. David, where you going? Yeah, so it's now 10 o'clock in the evening, and I really want to thank Miss Jennifer Batiste for coming and for coming on and oh shucks, I make a mistake and press the damn thing, sorry about that. Yeah, for coming on and yeah, yeah. So for coming on and actually being a part of the show tonight, I want to also thank my co-host and the director behind the scenes who is working tirelessly to ensure that we get these things up and running. And also, I want to thank you, the people who listen and come forward and hear your responses and as well as ask questions on Dauntless Defenders of Good Governance. And look out, we may have a show tomorrow where we're going to be dealing with some politics. Yes, we may have a show tomorrow, so we will keep you up to date on that. But breaking news, really and truly the breaking news, and that Miss Jennifer Batiste, Miss Miss Jennifer Frederick would have stated is that there was a meeting, there was meetings held, and everybody agreed that it would have been one. So we have to get the other part of the story, what went wrong and why did Mr. Oral Sanders not being part of this new team to take the PSA forward away from Leroy Batiste and done away with this whole dynasty of Duke within the PSA. So people look out. Tomorrow we have a next program and see you all tomorrow night at 8 p.m. It's Friday. It's Thursday. See you on Friday. Have a productive night. Let me see if I can get back my music, my Portuguese music. Though that I think Eric is a Spanish man, so he might be able to tell us if this is Spanish or if it is I don't know. Hey, see you all tomorrow. I don't know. See you all tomorrow. Don't